When computers were first invented, they were the size of a room. By 1970, they'd shrunk to the size of a car. By 1982, one would sit on a table. Today, though, we've reached the stage where a big, powerful computer sits neatly inside a cell phone. This latest stage is likely to be seen as the most important. For the past 50 years, computing has meant sitting at a desk and thinking about desky things like folders and files and trash cans. A cell phone is a very, very different device. It's there when we travel, it's there when we socialise, it's there when we shop, it's even there in bed. Putting computing power into such a small device is likely to change computing out of all recognition, and our lives with it. 30 years after the personal computer revolution, computing is about to get intimate. At the time of the internet boom in the late 90s, there were around 200 million computers connected to the internet. Today, there are already around 3.5 billion people with cell phones. Half the population of the planet has one. The internet boom was big, but the cell phone computing boom could be the biggest in history. The last internet boom was centred in the United States. That's where all the computers, the technology and the venture capital were. This time round, it may be very different though. Cell phone ownership is higher in many other countries than it is in the United States, and the networks are often stronger too. High bars here in Hong Kong, and here in India, and here in South Africa, but low bars in New York. To succeed in the mobile revolution, you'll need a paradigm-shifting insight, but such insights are hard to come by. The first webcam on the internet filmed a coffee pot at Cambridge University in 1993. It allowed scientists to check the coffee level before they got up from their desks to get a coffee. But what was the point of it? Why look at it if you live on the other side of the world? It's always the same with new ideas. If I'd asked the consumer what they wanted, said Henry Ford in 1909, they'd have asked me for a faster horse. When you're coming up with ideas for a new mobile app, don't think desktop. Your user may be distracted, or with friends, or tired, or even drunk. That changes the way they're thinking, and that changes everything. In 1997, the bookshop owners of the world got worried. A new arrival, Amazon, appeared on the scene. And Amazon offered 100 times more books, lower prices and free delivery. Furthermore, it could find any book their customers wanted within a minute. But how did the bookshops respond? Well, a few put in sofas. Others installed coffee shops. The rest did nothing. The bookshops carried on growing, Amazon carried on growing. But that's the way it was in the credit bubble. The credit bubble is now gone and the wolf is at the consumer's door. This time round, it's going to be very different. It's going to be dog eat dog. Telecoms companies tend all to do the same thing. One telecoms company launches a netbook, they all launch a netbook. One telecoms company launches a mobile Wi-Fi hub, they all launch a mobile Wi-Fi hub. The end result is that the brands lose differentiation, and as a result, the market becomes a commodity market. They should be more careful. A brand is different, or it is dead. Want to know the future of society? Study the society of teens today. Teens are on Facebook because if they're not on Facebook, no one can invite them to anything. Teens share their GPS so they can meet up more easily with their friends. In fact, they share pretty much everything. In the future, there will be no privacy and no one will care.
Cloud computing, it's going to be a big part of the mobile revolution. But will cell phones become just dumb terminals connected to the cloud? Contrary to what all the gurus think, we think not. Phones are status symbols, and there's not much status in a dumb phone.
200 years ago, it wasn't internet mania or mobile mania, it was canal mania. Canals were the things that everyone were building to connect the different parts of the Industrial Revolution in Britain. And there was nowhere that was more a symbol of that Industrial Revolution and the canals than this bridge. It was built from 1795 to 1805, took 10 years. It was a massive industrial monument. But what did it do? It led to nowhere, because in the end, the rest of the canal was never built.
A lot of people lose a lot of money in tech revolutions. This time round, don't let it be you.
Search is great. Google has turned it from something that was quite complex into something that is now really simple. But there's still one thing missing from search. Search is great if you know what you want, but if there's one thing that's bugged mankind for millennia, it's that most people don't really know what they want. A cell phone is a very, very interesting device. It knows where you are, it increasingly knows what you're doing, it knows what you're thinking through what you type into it, and increasingly it also knows who you're with. It can read your habits and through that read your mentality. It should be a very, very interesting new direction for search, and it could change our lives. Augmented reality, it's cool, isn't it? You take a barcode, you put it somewhere, and something interesting appears. And the sophistication of the thing that appears keeps on going up year after year. Other people like augmented reality because it can give us cyborg vision. But perhaps we're all missing the main point here. The really interesting thing about augmented reality is the way in which it connects the computer with the real world around us. It's the first interface that does so, and therefore it's the first leap forward in user interfaces since the graphical user interface came out 30 years ago. And that's all from Mobile Mania. Thanks very much for watching.